excited. I get to talk to y'all tonight. We are continuing our third part of our series, Better. We're getting better. Like, we've come from a year that is a little weird, a little awkward. It's been uncomfortable, but we know that it only gets better. And the only way it gets better is if we choose to say, hey, God, I give you. Just like that song says, here I am. We know that, man, the only way that 2021 can be better than 2020 is if we say, hey, God, I give you my life. I give you my life, here I am, and he makes it better. So I'm going to jump in tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about how about wisdom and experience is better. Wisdom and experience is better, all right? And how you can get wisdom and experience. How many of you know somebody that's dumb? Like real dumb. Like you're just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, girl, what are you doing? How many of you are sitting next to somebody that's dumb? Hey, that's rude. Put your hands down. That's just mean. They say, it takes one to know one. So, so there's a picture. They have a picture. This is my brother. My brother is the most, he's a genius. He's one of the most creative people I know. But my brother he has some moments, okay? There he is. He got all the hair genes. As you can see, we're complete opposites in that fact. I shave the sides. It just grows out of him, okay? But my brother, he's one of the most, he's a genius. He's super creative, way more creative than I can ever be. But my brother has these moments. So as I tell this story, you can kind of just a little imagine it with this kid, okay? This guy did this, okay? So me and my brother are super close. We're 2 years apart. We're like best friends. We've hung out all the time. We were homeschooled, so it was literally just me and him. There's nobody else. I didn't have anybody else, so it's just me and him. So we got close, whether we liked it or not. We hung out with each other. We're different in some ways, but a lot of times we blend well together. We were going on a missions trip to El Salvador, which shameless plug, y'all gotta go on a mission trip. It'll change your life. It's amazing. We're on the third day, okay? We're on the third day, and when me and my brother would go on youth trips or even vacations together, we would bring only enough shampoo and conditioner for both of us. Because we all know packing shampoo and body wash and all that stuff is super messy. You got to get a small container. If it's too big, it doesn't fit in your bag. It's all nasty and wet. So what we would do is we would share. So he would bring the body wash, I would bring the shampoo, and then we wouldn't have to pack as much, right? And then you got a big container. Because sometimes you fill those little bottles, those little travel size things, and you dump it all out in one dump, and then the rest of the week you smell like a pig, right? So you got to make sure you have enough, right? So my brother would bring the body wash, I'd bring the shampoo. It was the third day of the trip. We've been doing stuff outside. I'm nasty. I'm gross. I smell like a truck stop. I'm disgusting, right? We've been dancing in the El Salvador. There's puddles of street water that we've been dancing. We've been doing crazy stuff. We've been playing soccer with kids. And so we're nasty and gross. We've been in the sun all day. I'm like, hey, Kyle, pass the body wash, okay? And he passes me what I thought was the body wash. I grab it, and I'm walking into the shower, and I look at it. Thank God I read it, right? I read it, and it says body lotion. And I was like, what? I was like, oh, he gave me the wrong thing. So I walk back. I throw it at him. I'm like, hey, give me the body wash. I need to take a shower. And he goes, okay, and throws it back at me. And I was like, no, the body wash. And I throw it back a little more aggressively. And he goes, that is the body wash. And throws it back and hits it. I'm like, no, it's not. I was like, we used it yesterday. That's body lotion. And I throw it back. And this time he's like, what's your problem? He says, it's the same thing. I said, what? He goes, yeah, it's the same thing. Body lotion, body wash, body lotion. I was like, what? I said, what'd you say? And as he's just got out of the shower, okay? He goes, I just used it. Body lotion, body wash, it's the same thing. And he throws it back even more aggressively. I catch it and I'm like, listen, kid. And so I'm like, body lotion, body wash, that's two different things. And he goes, body. And he I'm dumb, I'm the dumb one. He goes, body, B-O-D-Y. He's spelling. I'm like, boy, you better not be spelling words to me right now. I am your older brother. I will end this right now. So I grab it and I'm like, guys, listen. I get we're in a dorm. I get the dorm's attention. I'm like, guys, listen. And he goes, now that he realized my confidence to tell everybody that, he goes, oh no. He's like, I made a mistake. And so I grab the body lotion. I go, guys, listen. He goes, no, stop. So if you ever hear Kendall or me do that, we're like, stop. We're imitating my brother. I go, stop. He goes, stop. And I'm like, hey, guys, this kid thinks that body lotion is body wash. And he goes, oh. He's like, I didn't, so for 3 days in El Salvador, this kid was bathing himself with lotion. I'm sure he was growing like scales. Like he's getting out of that shower pot like sticky and gross. I was like, what is your, did you not like ever like look at yourself in the mirror and realize you're still just as sweaty as you were when you, like, what? That's nasty. So my brother, he's got some moments. Now, he interns at a church just like me, and he lives at the church. They got like this separate little thing in the side of the building. He lives there. Now, have you ever been into a bathroom and they've got like it's like a fancy bathroom, and they got like fancy stuff? You can get like, maybe there's some breath mints in there, freshen up a little bit. Maybe you got some like beard oil if you got a beard. There's some like, sometimes they got some deodorant to freshen up. They got like napkins. They got real fancy napkins. The church that he interns at has a fancy bathroom, okay? You walk in there, there's a little separate thing across from the soap and everything else, and they got beard oil in case you came to church Sunday and your beard just looking gross and nasty, you grab some beard oil. If your breath was stinky, they got some Listerine in a bottle. If you mean, hey, even if maybe your breath was a little stinky, they got some Listerine, some gum. They've got hair gel if you're like, hey, my hair was looking bad, didn't have time. You ain't embarrassed anymore because now you're looking fresh in the bathroom, which would kind of be embarrassing. I think you walk into the church bathroom looking gross and you come out looking all fancy, right? But whatever. So he goes in there and he uses that bathroom sometimes because he lives there. So he walks in and the hand soap is out. And so instead of like refilling the hand soap, he looks around and what he sees is, you know when you have those little like dispensers of liquid and it had Listerine in it? Okay, just straight liquid Listerine. He looks at that and it's behind like the beard oil and the deodorant and all the like stuff to like take care, not to wash your hands. He looks at that. He even ignores like no little cups that you use to get your Listerine. He ignores those. And for a month, my brother was washing his hands with Listerine. Have you ever had like a cut on your finger and you put like a little bit of alcohol on it and it burns? Like you're like, my hand is falling off. Right? When you just get a little hand sanitizer and a cut and you're like, I can't feel anything, right? My brother was rinsing his palms with Listerine. He squeezed that into his, I'm like, how does that feel, cold Listerine? And he was like, yeah, it smelled real minty. I'm like, what? You're the most creative and like you're a genius, but what in the world? You were washing your hands with Listerine for a month? I'm like, that's where COVID started. This kid wasn't even washing his hands. He was just using mouthwash on his hands. I mean, that's disgusting. We can all think of somebody that maybe doesn't have the best wisdom or maybe hasn't experienced the right things, and you just look at them and you're like, what are you doing right now? You have to have like an off-camera look. They say something, you go, what did he just say? That's my brother all the time. But we can all think of somebody that maybe doesn't have the best wisdom or maybe the best experience when it comes to situations, and they make decisions that you're like, I'm confused. What are you doing? In Proverbs 16:16, it says, how much better to get wisdom than gold, to get insight rather than silver. Right off the bat, you're like, nope, I disagree. I would much rather have a PS5 than understand math. And I agree with you. I much rather would too. Some of you are like, dude, I would much rather have brand new shoes or some solid gold bars than to understand something. But tonight, my goal is this. My goal is to convince you that wisdom and experience is better than silver or gold. In many situations, you're like, oh, no way, I'd rather have it. I'd rather do something else. But like even in my brother's story, how much time, how much money he would have saved if he simply would have just had the wisdom and the experience to not use body lotion as body wash or Listerine as hand soap. And so that's my goal tonight. And when I think about this, I think about in the Bible the story of David. How many of you are familiar with David and the giant, right? Y'all like, oh yeah, I'm David myself. I kill giants every day. But so what this story we see that David starts out, he is a shepherd. A shepherd in this time frame is like the lowest of low jobs. Like it's like working like at a burger joint that pays minimum wage. He ain't doing that. Nope, if he quits, it ain't gonna change anything. It doesn't matter. But David serves faithfully. So what we see in the story is David is herding his father's sheep so diligently that a bear and a lion break in to where the sheep are at. They come from the forest and they try to take the sheep. David is such a good servant that when he sees the bear and a lion coming to take the sheep, it says in the Bible that he attacks them, not only attacks them and defends the sheep, but when he sees the bear and the lion running away, he goes after, chases them, wrings their neck, and kills them. I'm like, you say what now? What'd you do? Homeboy chases after a lion? I'm like imagining like who in the world would see a lion like, okay, I'm fine, I'm not gonna eat the lambs. And then David's like, nah. He's like, I'd be like, shoot, what's going on, right? Like what's happening? I'm telling y'all right now, if a lion and a bear broke in to this building right now, I would say, Deuce, I can run faster than maybe 5 of you. I'm out. Okay, I'm like, I'm out. But yet, even in the middle of sheep, guarding dumb sheep, a minimum wage job, he ain't getting paid for nothing. He's doing it for his dad. He still says, hey, I'm going to serve faithfully. Then this happens. His dad comes up while he's on. He's like, hey, I need you to clock out. I need you to take some food to your brothers. They're serving in this war. I need you to go bring your brothers some Lunchables. He says, okay, I'll go bring my brothers some Lunchables. So he goes out. He heads out. He's bringing lunch to his brothers. And when he gets there, he realizes there's a big problem. What's happening is the Israelites are fighting the Philistines. The Philistines and the Israelites are in a war at this time, but in this time frame and in these era, what would happen is they would bring up one warrior, and instead of having an all-out war, those two would fight and declare what would have happened in the war. So they basically were saying, hey, instead of us all fighting, these two guys fight, and then we'll settle it that way. If your guy wins, we're your slaves. If our guy wins, you're our slaves. And so what happens is the Philistines are secretly knowing, hey, we got this in the bag. Because they have a man that you're all familiar with. His name is Goliath. Goliath is 10 feet tall. He's a warrior. He's been trained his entire life to slaughter Israelites. And so he is ready to go. So now the Israelites are like, yo, dude, we ain't got nobody over the height of 5'10". Like, this dude doubles our size. And David, a child, walks up with his Lunchables, giving it to his brother. He says, hey, what's going on? Who's that guy yelling? Oh, like, oh, that's a giant. And the giant is yelling out things like, your God ain't real. Y'all are fake. I'm going to crush you. This is easy. Come on, where's your best fighter? Bring him out. I'll fight him with my hands behind my back. He's taunting them the entire time. And David looks at him and goes, guys, why is nobody shutting this guy up? Why is nobody telling this guy to stop? And they go, hey, nobody wants to fight him. They're too scared. Look at him, David. He's 10 foot tall. Our tallest guy's 5'10". Our guy can't even dunk. Goliath can, like, climb over a goalpost. So they're scared. And David says, no, but nobody talks about my God like that. I'll take care of him. And so David walks up. He gets stones in his sling, and he goes up and he says, hey, you're not going to talk about my God like that. My God is with me. You won't talk about my people like that, and you will not say that my God is fake. And so with one stone, he slings it in the perfect spot at the perfect time with the perfect placement, and it hits Goliath right in the head in the perfect spot. And David falls to the ground, or Goliath falls to the ground. David takes out his own sword and like a shish kebab cuts off his head. And he defeats Goliath. The Philistines run, the Israelite army chases them down, and the battle is won that day through David having faith in God. But I want to open up this story and tell it to why David was a better warrior. Why David was better than the guys that were taller than him. Why David was better than even Saul. Saul was the king at the time. Saul gave him his armor, and David said, no, I don't need this. I got God on my side. It doesn't fit me anyways. It would only hold me back. And Saul was tall. Saul was a foot taller than anybody else, and yet even Saul wouldn't fight the giant. But yet a child walks into the camp bringing Lunchables, and he says, you know what? He talks about my God like that. He won't talk about my God like that. I'll take care of it. Through God in me, I'll kill this giant. So what we can learn from this story in that is that number one, first, his value was not in what he couldn't control, but what he could control. See, in our world today, we get so caught up in what we can't control that we miss on the opportunities of what we can. David did not walk up into that camp and go, okay, I'm about to fight this giant. I got to learn I got to do like 15 push-ups right now to get super buff and super lean, and I'm going to take a bunch of whey protein. I'm going to down a bunch of egg whites, and I'm going to be ripped right before this fight. No, he's like, I can't control how big I am. I know there's guys bigger than me. I can't control that. He didn't look at all the swords and the military training and all the warriors around him and go, oh, I'm going to try my best to look like them. I'm going to wear the armor like them. I'm going to carry a sword like them. No, he said, no, I'm going to control what I can control. He didn't look at him and go, hey, you know what? I'm going to fight him like this. Or I'm going to fight him like that. He said, no, I can't control how big Goliath is. I can't control the Philistines, but what I can control is my sling. And he said, you know what? I've practiced, and I know that God's going to guide this stone. And so with that, he was a better warrior because he controlled what nobody else could control but him. The second thing is this, is that he was better because he wasn't worried about the armies of the giant. He took control of his sling. He said, you know what? I can't control anything else, but I'll take control of this. The third point is this. When you partner wisdom and experience, you get a better warrior. See, this is the difference between David and the other soldiers there. The other warriors there had way more experience than David. Remember, David at the time is a kid. He's a child. The men that are there that are about to fight have been trained to be warriors. These guys are big. These guys are tough. These guys have armor. These guys have been trained with swords and shields. These guys were made to be warriors. But David walks up as a kid, and in the moment that he walked up, he was already better than the warriors that have been trained their entire life. And this is why, because David had wisdom and he had experience. David had wisdom of who God was. He knew who God was. He knew what God had done, but one of the best things as well is he experienced what God can do. He saw that the power of God flowed through his veins when he wringed the neck of a lion and a bear. He saw and experienced God's power as he walked up and he saw Goliath speaking badly about his one true God. And he said, no, that's not going to happen. In that moment, he was overqualified for the position. Even though the other warriors had trained, even though they had maybe sharpened their swords so much better and been way better than David ever could have been, they're probably stronger than David ever could have been. But David was a better warrior because he had wisdom and experience. He said, I know who God is, and I've experienced God for myself. And so because of that, he was better. For an example, how many of you have experienced, probably a lot of y'all got these for Christmas. How many of y'all have played with like the VR or like Oculus stuff, right? How many of y'all have these? Now these are sick. Like, okay, I'm just gonna tell y'all. I was using Josh Milbrand. I was super against these. Like, those ain't real. It ain't gonna even like be. It's gonna be like give me a headache, and I was gonna be sick, and I'm not gonna like it. But I played with Josh's, and I was over at his house, and I had this sucker on, and I was like on the sky roof thing, whatever, and it was like I was on top of a skyscraper, and they were like jump, and you can grab that hook, and I believed them. I was so immersed in like the VR stuff. I was like, I'm Spider-Man. Here we go. And I jumped into a coffee table. I like fell down, smacked me. I had a gash blood thing here, and I had a black eye the next day because it was so immersive, right? And so, how many of you know that if I trained, let's say they release like a karate challenge 30-day thing on here, and I played 30 hours of this, and I could put this on. Oh, I'm gonna fall off the stage. This is gonna get bad. So I could play this and do like samurai training, right? And I would look probably so sick doing it. I'd probably look so cool right now. Y'all are probably all jealous. But I'd be doing this, and I could do samurai training with the VR, and I could learn karate moves and all that stuff and be playing. And I could put a lot of time in and feel pretty confident and have the wisdom of like a samurai warrior. I'd feel legit, right? Like that's what I could do. But how many of you, if I told you, I said, hey, I have 30 hours. I put 30 hours into the samurai game. I've been training. Would you rather have me, Ryan, with 30 hours of VR samurai training, the intern, or this guy? We got a picture of would you rather have that guy? Would you rather have me with 30 hours of training or Conor McGregor? Okay. But fine, I get it. He's a mixed martial artist. He's probably ripped a guy's head off when he was 12. Okay, I get it. I'm not as experienced. Now let's work again. I've put in 50 hours, guys, of VR training, would you rather have me or that guy? You didn't even see the picture. Somebody said that guy and didn't even see the picture. They didn't even know it was. Again, okay, I get it. Dwayne Johnson could probably pop my head like a grape with one of his biceps, right? I get it, okay. Now, I put in even more hours of training in Samurai, but would you rather have me or this guy? He's got a baseball bat. It's not fair. I don't know. I don't know if it's fair, but whatever. Okay. All right, fine. I put in 100 hours of virtual reality Samurai training. Would you rather have me or this guy? Listen, that's hurtful when the picture isn't even up and you say that guy. I'm just putting that out there. That's hurtful, okay? Why? But okay, for real. The reason why you would choose those guys, whether they're real or fake, or like if it's Spider-Man or not, I mean, even if it wasn't, it's Spider-Man all the way. Like, I've only had, wisdom of how to samurai fight. Maybe subpar wisdom, because VR is not legit, right? But what makes difference between me and those guys, not only by size, because Dwayne Johnson's huge, but what changes the difference is that they have experience. Dwayne Johnson has done some fighting things. Conor McGregor, for sure, we've seen countless times, knocked people out with his fists. Guy's twice my size. And so that's what happens in our lives, is we know so much about God. We have so much wisdom about God. We've put in, hey, I go to Wednesday night services every time. I sit right next to the same guy every single night. Hey, I listen to the same worship songs every single Wednesday. Hey, my mom makes me go to church. Hey, I sometimes read my Bible. Hey, sometimes I even pray sometimes. Hey, I've got a healthy devotional life, yeah. But we haven't stepped out and experienced God. There have been moments where when friends have tried to influence us to look at certain things, we've said, okay, yeah, that's funny. I'm going to look at that along with you guys. Or maybe we've been influenced to put substances in our body, or maybe even look at drinks or things like that, and maybe be influenced by a party scene or other people. And we've been saying, hey, I know about God. I have the wisdom of God. But when the sin comes and these troubles come and this fear comes and this anxiety comes and depression comes and all the other things, I haven't experienced God enough, so I just kind of, I don't know what to do. And so the enemy looks bigger. The enemy looks like Goliath because I haven't had an experience with God. And so when the enemy comes with sin and destruction, I look at that and I go, I'm just David. I'm just small. I'm just tiny. I haven't experienced. But what God is asking of you tonight is he's asking, will you experience me? I know you know about me. I know you come to church on Wednesday nights and you've heard Pastor Kendall and Ryan talk about God. I know you've listened to Amber sing about who God is. I know you know about it. But will you be brave enough to experience God? Will you be brave enough to be like David and say, hey, I'm not just going to sit on the sidelines and hear people talk badly about my God. I'm not just going to sit on the sidelines and watch my friends go to hell. I'm not just going to sit on the sidelines and be like everybody else, just like culture says. No, I'm going to experience God and this wisdom. I know that, man, he's powerful. I know that he's eternal. I know that, man, he's got a place waiting for me in heaven. But will you be brave enough to step off the sidelines, to take off the virtual reality and actually jump in and say, man, I want to experience God? And this is how, through wisdom and experience, life can be better. So this is how to get wisdom and walk in experience. Number one, you have to fear God. You have to know God. Maybe as I was spouting out this thing, you say, hey, this is my first time. I don't even really know God. The beauty of it is all you have to do tonight is say, man, I know that there's more to life than this. I know that I've been born for a purpose. Man, there was a man who came to this earth from heaven, and he was crucified on a cross for you so that all you would have to say is, God, I want you in my life. And the moment that you say that and you walk with him in every day and you say, hey, I'm going to avoid sins, what happens is now you are a part of his family. So the first step is to know God and to fear God. You're like, what does fear God mean? This is the definition of fear of God. There's no coverance of awe, reverence, adoration, honor, worship, confidence, thankfulness, love, and yes, fear. So what that is saying, hey, God, I give you everything. God, I love you. I honor you. When I say, man, I have the fear of God on my life, it says, man, I have reverence toward God. I'm loyal to God. It's not just, I'm just scared of God. I'm just fearful of God, because that's not what he wants. He wants a relationship with you. He wants to know you just as much as he wants you to get to know him. So what happens is we say, hey man, I have a fear of God. I want to get to know. It says in Proverbs 8:17, I love those who love me, and those who diligently seek me will find me. That's a promise in the Bible. It says that if you seek God, you'll find him. See, there's a lot of things in life that aren't a guarantee or a promise. You could look for money and never find it. You could search after the perfect relationship and never find it. You could chase after wealth or success or fame and you could never get it, but it's promised in God's word and it's a guarantee money back that if you chase and you seek after God, you will find him. In the Bible, and it also says, man, that once you chase after God, everything else will come to you. Happiness, joy, peace, everything else that you need will be right at your feet if you seek after him. My second point is that in order to have wisdom and walk in experience and have a better life, for life to be better than 2020, for life to be better than your last semester, for life to be better than last year with your family, for your life to be better than the last relationship, for your life to be better than last school year, what happens is you need to lean on God. In 1 Samuel, it says this, David said, I've been a shepherd tending sheep for my father. Whenever a lion or a bear came and took a lamb from the flock, I'd go after it, knock it down, rescue the lamb. If it turned on me, I'd grab it by the throat, wring its neck, kill it, lion or bear. It made no difference. I killed it. His confidence in that is like scary. I feel like he said that like he's a tiny little kid, but he's like, it doesn't matter, lion or bear, I'll kill it. I'm like, whoa, down tiny, like whoa. But that's the same passion that we have to have, is that we know that God is our victory. We know that God's going to protect us no matter what. We know that God has a place for us in heaven. Not even death is threatening to us. But yet we live in our lives kind of like, yeah, God's great, woo, but I'm going to be influenced by other people. We don't chase after lions and bears. You go like, well, I don't want to chase after lions. I don't recommend doing that. I'm saying what lions and bears in your life may be is chasing after your friends that don't know about God. Chasing after lions and bears might be saying, hey, no, I'm not going to look at that. Hey, I'm saying yes to being active in my youth group. I'm saying yes to reading my Bible every day. That's my lion. That's my bear. I'm going to say, man, I'm going to kill this today because I'm going to be a light at my school. Hey, I'm going to kill this today because I'm going to be a light to my family. That's your lion. That's your bear. Say, man, I'm not going to be afraid. I'm going to attack after it. We see in this act David leaning on his wisdom of God and his relationship with God. He's leaning on, I know how good God is. I know that I'm small, but I know God's good enough. I know God's strong enough to empower me to wring this bear's neck, to wring this lion's neck. I'm not afraid. I'll protect my father's sheep because he has the wisdom of God and he's experienced God. And lastly, this is my third point, is we choose wisdom and experience. You have to choose it. You have to choose an experience with God. See, David had a choice. When Goliath marched out and he said those threats about how I'm going to rip people in half, he could have done it. He said, I'm going to skewer you like pigs. He could have done it. He said, I'm going to crush you. He could have done it. But David had a choice in that moment. And as the band comes back up to play, as I close out, he had a choice in that moment. He could have said, no, I've experienced God. I know about God, and I have wisdom about him, and I've sang songs about him before, and I've heard Pastor Kendall talk about him before, and I know that, but that's a lion, that's a bear, like I'm good. But he said, no, I'm going to put to test what I know about God and put it to the test. He says, yeah, I'm gonna attack and protect my sheep. I'm going to go after this bear. I'm going to go after this lion. And so it was more than just knowing about God. He had an experience with God. See, we have to choose to have a better year, be trusting to God and chasing after an experience. See, tonight you have the opportunity to put to test your experience, to chase after an experience with God. Stop hiding behind others or others' knowledge of God, but instead it's time to experience him for yourself. It's more than a song. It's more than a sermon. It's more than youth group. It's more than what your parents say about God. It's more than what your friends say about God. You have to experience him for yourself. You have to take off the VR goggles. You have to forget about everything else and say, hey, I want to experience him. I want to chase after God. I'm not going to be afraid and sit on the sidelines. Some of you say, but I've never experienced God. I've never killed a lion or a bear. I've never experienced God to that magnitude. And that honestly, it scares me to be a light at my school. It makes me nervous to tell my friends about Jesus. It makes me nervous to share it with my family. Ryan, you don't understand how hard and difficult it is to give up my addictions. You don't understand how much and difficult it feels to give up my worries or my fears. I mean, I've tried so hard to give up this depression and anxiety, but I don't know. I haven't experienced God like that before. But what I'd say to that is tonight could be your night. So as you all stand to your feet as we're about to close, tonight you have the choice to experience God. And it may not look like a lion or a bear. It may not be that pretty. It might be something as simple as you raising your hand. But it starts now. Is you have to make the choice to say, hey, I want to experience God. I know about God. I come to service every Wednesday. I've felt God's presence before, but now I want to actually experience God. And for some of you tonight, I might feel weird and uncomfortable, but tonight you can experience God. Because it's not just about knowing him, it's about experiencing him. And when that happens, your life becomes better. Better than it ever was before. So tonight, the only way that your life gets better is if you make the choice. I can't make it for you. David wasn't pushed out by somebody else. Saul's men didn't push him out and say, hey, go fight. It was his choice. And so tonight, as you think about your life and you think about your situation, you think about your family and your school, and you say, man, the only thing that could change it would be an experience with God, that's what happens. So with every head bowed and every eye closed, tonight could be your night to experience God, but you have to chase after him. But the beautiful thing is that just like in Proverbs, it says that, man, the moment that you chase after him, he chases after you. So all it may be is saying, hey, I'm going to raise my hands in worship. I'm going to pursue a devotional life. I'm going to read my Bible. I'm going to put away the sin. I'm going to put away the addiction. I'm going to say, man, I'm going to chase after you. The moment you do that, your life changes forever. So I'm going to pray, and then we're going to be dismissed. So God, I thank you. I thank you for every single David that stands in this room. I thank you, God, that every single person that stands in this room tonight has the even greater potential than David did. That they have the ability to kill giants in their life, whatever it may look like. That their life can be better than it was before. That the moment they chase after you. That they don't just know about you, that they don't just think about, oh man, wouldn't it be great if God did this, but instead they'd say, hey, I can experience God tomorrow. I can experience God tonight. I can experience God right now. The moment I say, God, I chase after you. So God, we thank you for that. God, we thank you that you are accessible. You're the only truth that never fades away. So God, tonight we take off the VR goggles. And instead of just sitting on the sidelines, knowing about what you've done and reading about what you've done and hearing about what you've done, tonight we make the decision to experience you, to step out in faith, to put away maybe our phone for just a few minutes every day, maybe to say no to those friends or say yes to better ones. Tonight we make the decision to chase after you. We thank you for that. We thank you that you're a good, good Father who chases after us. We ask that you go with us tonight. In your glorious, glorious name, amen.